it's a really tough time being a Doctor Who fan in these gaps that we have. We've only just about got to the halfway point recently between the last episode and the next one. And it's really rough. We had 2016 where there was pretty much no show for a whole year. Well, exactly a year. And now we're having another big gap again. And it's hard to deal with it. But there is one thing which you can do if you've only ever watched the show. Depending on who your favourite Doctor is, who your favourite companion is, there are stories which you probably don't even know exist if you don't know what I'm about to talk about. And that, of course, is Big Finish. Now, Big Finish is something which I've mentioned before, but Big Finish is the audio company which produces many stories for many different IPs. And one of those IPs which they gained rights to in 1999 is Doctor Who. So they have the rights to Doctor Who and certain characters and stories, and certain monsters, and they can do whatever they want. They can make those stories with those characters and stuff. The only stuff they don't have rights to is the current run. So they couldn't produce Whittaker stories during Whittaker's run, which they now can. They now can do all of that once her run's over, which is why they're doing the I Am the Master series and the Roof Doctor series. That stuff is going to be produced, but it's all being released after the fact, so it's completely fine. But yeah, if you want more Doctor Who and you're interested in following it through a different medium, I think it's a really accessible thing. I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of it. I'm going to talk about my own experience with it. I'm going to talk about the different entry points you've got with it, because there are a few. And yeah, hopefully this will encourage people to listen to it more and try it out, because it might not be your cup of tea. First of all, I have to address this one thing. It is pricey. If you listen to the later box sets, because there was a point where it wasn't box sets and you could do individual payments for just stories, but then it became a box set kind of thing, and it is like, bam, here's 30 quid for 3 stories, and it's a lot. So I would say, if you want to try it out, don't do that. Don't jump into something like that, unless if it's like your favourite Doctor. Like if it's Tennant really only exists in box sets because he's only been running since 2016, I think. But if you just want to try it out and jump in wherever, listen to one of the free ones, which is available on Spotify or Apple Music. There are plenty of stories there. I think they have the first 50 releases of their monthly range, which goes all the way up from their first release to, I'm pretty sure, Zagreus, which was the 40th anniversary release, which is, you'll want to listen to the whole of the 8th Doctor series leading up to that. And yeah, I will talk about the 8th Doctor in some detail in this, because it's very important for me with the whole Big Finish thing. But yeah, so you've got 5th Doctor, Peter Davison's on here, Colin Baker's on here, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston's on here now, which obviously is a big reason for a lot of people maybe going into Big Finish around now. And you've also got David Tennant, Matt Smith's not done it, Pete Capaldi, I don't know if he'd do it or not, but you do have impressionists like Jacob Dudman, and yeah, I think Whittaker would maybe do it. I'm not entirely sure, but she's open to do it now. She can do it now with her run being over. But yeah, in terms of entry points, it depends how you approach it. If you just want to listen to, I view Big Finish in a way. I don't view it as stuff I need to listen to. Like, it's not important to the overall story of these people, of these characters' arcs. It's just additional and makes their story maybe more interesting, adding new stories to it. So I view it as additional Who. Except for 8. With 8, I view this as his run. This is how I will judge his character. And the issue with that is then, when does it become additional Who with 8? And I have a definitive answer to the point where it goes from, this is probably his run, this is his arc, to this feels like his version of Big Finish. This feels like the additional stories to his run. And that is basically as soon as the box sets come in. Everything released for the 8th Doctor before Dark Eyes is what I view as his companions. His companions are Charlie, Carys and Lucy. That run I view. Once that run ends, I go, right, okay, this feels like the additional kind of stuff. And what I would say is, if you've obviously never listened to Big Finish, you don't really know the 8th Doctor. You probably don't like him because there's nothing to really base your opinion off. So giving him a go is worth it, and you've got an entire series of his stuff for free. So try it out. And obviously there's plenty of stories to go around in the free ranges you have on Spotify and Apple Music, so you can listen to like really big stories such as Spare Parts, And Jubilee is also available. I've never actually listened to Jubilee, and I really need to, because obviously it's the basis of Dalek. It's both written by the same man, Rob Shearman, and yeah, there's plenty of good stories. Like Spare Parts is basically the Gents of the Sidemen. You know, it's World Enough and Time before World Enough and Time, pretty much. And there's just plenty of golden stories out there that are worth listening to. And you know, if you try it out and you like it, it's worth giving it a go, and it's worth maybe paying a little bit, but only if obviously you can, because it's pricey. You know, only do this if you can. You don't have to, because at the end of the day, we don't pay to watch Doctor Who. I mean, you pay a license fee, but you know, you don't pay extortionate amounts of money to just get 3 stories. It's, you know, it is a bit pricey for people. But, you know, if you're a big Ninth Doctor fan, you know, you've been missing him for ages, and suddenly there's a lot more Eccleston content out there. I admit it, I've only listened to his first box set. He's made like 5 or 6 now, but it's good stuff. Tennant, I've listened to I think 4 box sets I've listened to now, because I've listened to all 3 Dalek Universe series and his first ever release, which was 3 stories with Donna, and I love the Donna stuff because it just fits straight into series 4, but all the other stuff is additional stuff fitting into like the gap where he's on his own before End of Time. But I do like all of these stories. Most of them. I think it's interesting because they're different writers getting different experiences, and you know, if you're a bit of, you know, if you're into nostalgia, it's always nice to jump back into these moments. And I remember when I listened to the first ever release of The Tenant, the second I heard the old theme again, I felt like I was 6, and it was lovely to, you know, listen to this and experience this all over again. And I kind of felt just right, and this could be a series 4 episode. And if these stories got pitched, they would probably fit perfectly in that series. If I could recommend stories to start off with, I've already mentioned Spare Parts. I think that's a really good one. You know, that kind of fits right off the end of season 19 going into season 20, because it's 5 travelling with Nissa before he reunites with Tegan. And yeah, it's phenomenal. It's really good. And the thing is, because it's not, you know, on TV, they kind of get away with a bit more gruesome stuff. Which, you know, sometimes maybe isn't in their favour, sometimes maybe not. The 6th Doctor, you know, he has a complete extra companion here. Most of these characters have additional companions in just audio. And there's just so many avenues you can go down. And with the 8th Doctor, I'm going to really talk about him now. I really love listening to his stuff because I get to judge his character, I get to enjoy his series. And, you know, it's the only Doctor where I'd say don't just jump in and pick a story at random, because you know the stories of all these characters from their show. From 8, you just see him regenerate, you know, into himself and then regenerate out. That's all we've got. We've got Night of the Doctor, and we have got a TV movie and the little cameo in Power of the Doctor. We have next to nothing in terms of TV and on-TV movie. So, you know, it's really good to kind of see the journey of his character. And seeing that through, obviously, the 3 stories you get is basically is part 1 and part 2 of his first series. So that is from Storm Warning all the way to Zagreus. Now, do not listen to Zagreus without listening to the entire run leading up to it. It won't really make sense. Also, Zagreus won't really make sense for you if you don't have a lot of knowledge about Doctor Who of the classic era anyway. There's a lot of like random stuff. There's references to like Rassilon, like the vampires which fought with the Time Lords and stuff like that. Yeah. And on the front cover you may see Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy and Pete Davidson. Their Doctors aren't really in it. They are in it, playing different roles. It's very weird. The TARDIS plays a key part in this as a character, and not the way you think. It's very weird. But yeah, watch the run leading up to that. The series which follows that is where you start to pay it. It's actually not too expensive at that point. But the series after that is the Divergent Universe, and it's very experimental. It's not too great. There are some good stories in there, but overall it's not amazing. But still, there's with the box set of his series with Lucy Miller, played by Sheridan Smith, there is still great stories there, and it's really nice seeing his journey as a character, and you kind of going feeling like you finally know this Doctor, which you never got a chance to, which is why I really want Paul McGann to make more appearances in television for the show, because I feel like I really get his Doctor, something which I really didn't get the chance to watching the show, because there isn't any of him. So, please, if you haven't listened to Big Finish, give it a chance so you can finally just experience Paul McGann's Doctor. But yeah, beyond that, only go for it for additional stuff. If you like Tennant, listen to Tennant. If you like Eccleston, listen to Eccleston. If you like Capaldi or Smith, you've got to accept Impressionists or you're not doing it. But yeah, there is so many stories out there, so much additional Who, and because there's so much free stuff available, go out, go nuts, and just experience it. And if you like it, you've just opened yourself up to way more stories of Doctor Who. You'll never get bored. I'm just going to say, if Doctor Who got cancelled, I'd probably be alright. I'd rewatch a ton of episodes and I'd just listen to the ton of Big Finish, which I haven't listened to, because their library is bloody mental. Like, if you're thinking all the stories are about the Doctor, let me stop you there, because no, there's a River Song box set, there's a Captain Jack box set, there's a Unit box set, there's a Robots box set. Yeah, the Robots of Death, there's an entire box set just about them. It's just, ridiculous. And then you got, box sets about Missy. You got the masterful little special series. That's really cool. I've still not listened to it, but I really, really want to. And then you've also got the War Master. There, and the Time War series. God, there is just so much Doctor Who content out there which we haven't even scratched the surface of. And there's just, it's, going up. If you are obsessed about Doctor Who and you haven't touched Big Finish, I find it very unlikely that you wouldn't like it. But yeah, if I can leave you on a few notes, please watch the free one, or listen to them. I keep saying watch instead of listen. Listen to some of the free ones. I've already mentioned Spare Parts, there's Jubilee. If I could reference maybe some 8th Doctor ones, I definitely recommend Chimes of Midnight. I think Storm Warning as an opener is very good with him. There's also Shirt Sew, which is freaky as hell, which is really good. And if I mention some 10th Doctor ones, I think I've only listened to his original box set and the Dalek Universe one, which is fine, but it's kind of a continuous story, so it doesn't really work on its own if you just jump into any old one. But with the original first box set he does with Donna, that kind of works. And I think Technophobia is really interesting, and Death in the Queen is just so series 4. You can tell Catherine Tate and Deb Tennant are having a fun time doing these lines, because it just works and it's really fun. But yeah, that's all I can really say about Big Finish. Maybe I've changed your mind, maybe you tried Big Finish and it wasn't your thing and you want to go back on it, but it's worth trying. But please, if you're going to start on Big Finish, do not splash the cash early doors. Try and find out if it's for you. If it's for you, then if you want to spend money. Don't waste £30 and not like it, because it is money, it's your money. I'm not asking you to pay it. I'm not gaining any money from advertising here. I'm just saying there is another area of Doctor Who which you can enjoy, and you should try it. And yeah, I guess that's me done. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. I've been Bored Whovian. I'll see you around.